For this reason, you should treat even the lowest of their number with respect, and the gods and goddesses among them with veneration. And for this reason, you should never, under any circumstances, attempt to use this system of evocation to bring harm to any other person. Now, the reason for this should be obvious, but just to make sure you understand, this would be magically similar to calling up your enemy on the telephone and then detonating a hand grenade inside your phone booth instead of his. He may hear the explosion, but you're the one who's going to get blown up. Think about that. Recall the proverbial wisdom of Solomon. Remember that the genii of the brass vessel were charged with teaching us the arts and the sciences. Therefore, we should use Solomon's magic to grow in wisdom and understanding. We should use these secret methods to explore the inner realms of the astral plane and to experience the glories of the angels and the wonders of the spirit realm. If you use Solomon's magic in God's name and with a pure heart, you have nothing to fear, and others should have no reason to fear you. Now that we've returned from our magical journey, and you understand how Solomon's magic really works, you might be asking yourself, why is all this being revealed? Why are we showing you, without initiation and training, secret techniques that have been closely guarded through the ages? Why have we shown you the actual equipment and how to use it? Well, the truth is, we really didn't want to reveal these techniques to the general public, but in 25 years, during which time I personally initiated and trained over 100 students, it's not surprising that our secrets would leak out. At the present time, there are several small groups presuming to teach our methods, and a few years back, a former member of our order self-published a partial and oversimplified version of our system, which in turn became the authoritative source for a chapter on magical evocation in a beginning primer on ceremonial magic issued by a major publisher. Recalling the magical misadventures of that world-famous mouse in Walt Disney's film Fantasia, we might say that these apprentice sorcerers have opened the brass vessel and let out all the spirits, which has compelled me to come down from my wizard's tower and show you how to get them all back in again. I was responsible for the rediscovery and the modern development of the Goetia Almadel system we have explained and demonstrated in this video. And because it's no longer a secret, I now feel obligated to make the authentic and genuine system available to all sincere students who want to learn how to correctly practice this ancient art.
If you wish to research more deeply into the Solomonic system, please refer to the Book of Solomon's Magic by Carol Polk Runyon. This work serves as an excellent companion to this video cassette. It provides illustrations and detailed instructions, enabling students to create their own temple equipment. Most importantly, this volume contains the master mandala, that is the essential key to the successful practice of this art. To order postpaid, send a check or money order for $24.95 plus $7 for foreign airmail to the Church of the Hermetic Sciences, Incorporated, P.O. Box 403, Silverado, California, 92676.
I'm Polk Runyon, and the year is 2003. We first released The Magic of Solomon video in VHS format in 1996. Since that date, it has sold thousands of copies. You have just seen the completely remastered, enhanced DVD version of this occult classic released for the 21st century. Now, before we show you the historic OTA footage that we promised, I should make a slight correction on a statement that I made in the original version. Now you'll recall that when we opened the temple sequence, I said, "This is the first time we have permitted cameras inside our temple." I should have qualified that statement because 24 years earlier, over in our Lake Avenue, Pasadena temple, one of our members shot film footage of early OTA operations. This film footage was shown on a nationwide network TV show in 1974, and it was rebroadcast in 1975. What you will see is an early version of the OTA Communion of the Elements ceremony and excerpts from a demonstration goetic operation. If you look closely, you will see the upright triangle with the dark mirror in the center, and in reverse, you will see the seeress holding the evocation candles, while you see the magus, myself, behind her, intoning the conjuration and manipulating the wand. Watch closely.
So Mr. Polk Runyon, who by day is a salesman, by night is Grand Master of the OTA, the Order of the Temple of Astarte. Am I saying that correct, Mr. Runyon? This is a pagan organization which has as its focus the study and practice of ceremonial magic. And Mr. Runyon has with him this evening a bit of film, I believe, which we'll be seeing a little bit later on. But before we show that, I'd like to ask Mr. Runyon first about the Temple of Astarte and ceremonial magic. Is it similar to what Isaac and Ed, I was almost going to say Fitz the Witch again, Ed had been talking about here for the first half hour?
There are a lot of similarities. There are some differences. I think the main differences in it is that ceremonial magic is it has a biblical base. And when I say a biblical base, I don't mean that it's necessarily Christian or it's necessarily Jewish. What I mean is that it derives from a biblical mythology, so to speak. It also has something to do with the legend of Solomon containing the spirits in the brass bottle. You know, the Arabian Nights, the old Arabian Nights story? And the idea is, in ceremonial magic, is that one uses the names of power, the various names of God from the ancient Hebrew Kabbalah, to unlock this brass bottle and release these genies, so to speak. Now, actually, these genies are ancient pagan gods. Now, in our particular tradition, they're the gods of ancient Phoenicia or ancient Canaan, the gods of Mesopotamia, and the gods of Egypt. So we're a sort of a Middle Eastern Palestinian tradition, whereas the witchcraft cult is primarily drawing their mythology from Europe, from the Celtic and the Greek and the European tradition.
Would turning wine into water be called ceremonial magic?
No, I wouldn't call it ceremonial magic. I'd call it a good trick if you could do it.
I'm told he did it. Now, let's take a look at this little bit of film, and maybe you can set up what we're going to see here. Right? This will be coming up in just a few seconds. This is...
Right. What you're seeing here is an entrance circumambulation into the OTA temple. The members are coming in and preparing to receive the opening charges, which they'll be receiving as they open the lodge. Now, here is the high priestess opening the temple, and the lights of the lodge, of course, will be lit. This is a communion of the elements. This is a mass of 7 sacraments. You see the dagger and the cup that Ed was talking about there a little while ago. This is a tradition we share with the witchcraft cult. And this communion of the elements takes place around the magic circle, which we'll see in a little bit. The priest and the priestess here are sharing the elements of the communion between themselves before they administer it to the celebrants. here she is holding the bread and the salt on the pentacle of earth. This is one of the 4 magical weapons. The priest, as you see, is holding the wand. These weapons in our tradition do relate to the Holy Grail legend. There is, of course, the wand, or there's the magic circle, you see, with the name of Raphael, I believe, is the angel we have in that eastern quadrant. The celebrants are going around the circle, deasil, or clockwise, and receiving each of these 4 elements. They will inhale the incense, and they'll take the bread and the salt, they'll drink the wine, and they'll pass their hands over the fire. So you see, this actually has 2 more essential elements.
Just for the basis of comparison, could the magic circle be compared to a tabernacle or to a sanctuary of sorts within the temple?
Not exactly. I think the better analogy, Tom, would be that it would be a representation of the universe itself. It represents, the circular aspect represents the universe itself, and of course the pentagram in the center of it represents man. You know, the 6-pointed star is here. Now here we have an actual ceremonial magic operation. This is one of these operations where we summon a spirit from the brass bottle in the Arabian Nights. Now you see the magus standing behind the receiver, and she is staring at the triangle of art. Magic is a hypnotic process, and a lot of people don't understand this. They think that something's supposed to come down on a moonbeam or come up through a crack in the floor. That's not the case. Now you notice the magus there wearing the sun cornet is manipulating the wand, but he's intoning a 300-year-old conjuration from the Lemegeton, or Lesser Key of Solomon. The receiver there, or the seeress, is holding the evocation candle, staring at the triangle of art. She is in a trance, and she will evoke one of these god forms from her deep mind, or her unconscious, if you will, and she will see it as an extra-personalized entity outside the circle.
After what you've just seen, there can be no doubt that we were the original innovators and developers of the dark mirror facial reflection method of Solomon's goetic evocation. Thank you for your continued interest and your support. Before we close, I'd like to call your attention to our other video production, The Dark Mirror of Magic, the Visago Millennium Prophecy, which is now also available on an extended DVD version. This is a complete record of a goetic operation in which a major prophecy for the new millennium was revealed and is already coming true. And finally, watch for the new, expanded, and revised 2nd edition of the Book of Solomon's Magic, which is the essential companion volume to both of our video productions. Good magic, and God us bless. In closing, please remember that Solomon's Magic is a valid spiritual and philosophical art form. It is also a very powerful system of personal transformation that should not be misused. Anyone with neurological or psychological problems should consult a medical professional before undertaking these experiments. The Order of the Temple of Astarte does not train persons under the age of 18 in magical evocation. We recommend that this policy be followed by any person or group using the techniques we have demonstrated. This is not an activity for children or impressionable teenagers. The preceding documentary was introductory. The producers of this video may not be held responsible for any ill effects that might result from attempts to replicate these methods without further instructions and training. Aima Hanoga, Aima Malka, Ata Gibor Leolam. The work is finished. The temple is closed.